What prompted me to start Just a Drop was I'd actually launched Environmental Awareness Day in 1996 as a means of encouraging the travel and tourism industry to take greater responsibility for its environmental footprint. But I realised quite quickly that at that time there were not many people in the travel and tourism industry interested in environmental initiatives. And so I was running a programme, an educational programme, and out of the 45,000 people that could potentially attend it, I had a total of 30 people attending in the first year. So whilst I thought, well, we'll still maintain the programme and it's evolved into World Responsible Tourism Day, I thought I need to come up with a better idea. And at that time, I'd just become a mum. And I thought, well, there are a lot of parents in the travel and tourism industry. So I thought, okay, what can I come up with that impacts children and families, is global in its reach because we're a global industry, and is also environmentally sound because that was sticking to our values. And at that time I did some research and I learned that a child died every 17 seconds from dirty water. It was the biggest killer of children under the age of 5. But I also learned very significantly that at that time, just £1 could deliver clean water to a child for nearly 10 years. So that's why I called it Just a Drop, because the principle was, if each of us coming to World Travel Market, if I could get £1 off everybody coming to World Travel Market, then as an industry, collectively, we could start to make a difference. So that's really how it started. It was a very naive concept, but that's how it started. The biggest challenge since I started the charity is it boils down to ongoing fundraising in order to create the impact and make the difference and transformation in people's lives. You're constantly, the demand and the need is enormous. And I've got huge belief in the power of business to be able to facilitate change. And I've always believed that businesses can achieve not just, economic benefit, but actually really have a social and environmental responsibility as well. So I'm very keen to encourage businesses, no matter what charitable initiative or cause they want to support, it should have a synergy with their businesses. But I do believe that business can do so much more. And it's trying to end up encouraging more people to recognise that and see the capability that they have and to encourage them to drive that change. And obviously we hope that they will support Just a Drop, because then we work in partnership and we make a difference together, and it's sustainable, it's long-term, and it's transformational for those people that we're helping. Just a Drop's evolved a lot over the last 25 years. When we started, we were working across, at different times, overall 32 destinations. Now we still work across Asia, Africa and Latin America, but in very specific destinations. And the reason for doing that is because we actually see ourselves as a development organisation, not a charitable organisation. And when you give people access to safe water, sanitation, hygiene education, it's actually just the start of improving their lives, and you can build from that. And we say that life's an endless struggle without water, but without water, everything becomes possible. And so what we've found is that with access to safe water, not only are you healthier, but you can grow crops. With crops, you can feed your families better, you have food security. With excess crops, you can trade. It enables you to get out of the poverty trap. With generating an income, you are able to pay for your kids' school fees, so you improve education. And we also do development work, which includes providing women with income-generating loans, giving women the sense of empowerment that now that they're no longer trekking up to 6 hours a day to get water, they've now got time to be able to do more income generating activities. So we've been supporting women with loans, and they've set up hairdressing businesses, brick making, looking after animals, chicken rearing, a whole host of different things, running a restaurant. I mean, one amazing lady I met in Uganda, she had set up a business which was making kava chips, and she never believed before, benefiting from the training and development that we gave her. She'd never had an education, so she didn't believe that she was really able to do any of this. And within 3 months, she'd paid back the loan, and she'd seen the power of being educated, and she was using the income that she generated to send her 5 kids to school. So we're always looking at the next stage of development for people. We do soap making and do it in a lot of schools so that they can generate an income to keep the school clean, but also to then sell that soap to generate an income for the school. And we do menstrual hygiene management and teach boys and girls how to make menstrual hygiene pads, so that, again, there's a recognition, and it gives better gender equality for girls, and it keeps girls in school as well. So those are some of the things that we've sort of evolved to and it's about really helping people improve their lives and have more ownership of their lives. Is there a Just to Drop project I'm particularly proud of? To be honest, there's lots. There's really lots. What I'm proud of is the sustainability of our projects and programs. And I'm really proud of the team surrounding Just to Drop that are able to deliver that, because without their commitment, then for me, it's really important that we can look donors and funders in the eye and say, you can have faith and trust in the work that we do, and know that the money that you are investing in Just to Drop is really well spent and is making a difference. It's the only way that I'm able to encourage people to support us. I've just come back from Nicaragua, and one of the projects had just been completed, and we were invited to open this particular project. And so they had decorated the pump house and everything with balloons, and the community all gathered together. And one of the community leaders, a gentleman called Jesus, who had donated his land to build the tank, stood up in front of everybody and was sort of giving his gratitude and talking about the impact. But he could hardly speak because he was so emotional about what had been achieved and the difference that it was making, that he had me in tears. And, just because he could hardly speak. But then another really interesting and very impactful project for me was visiting a school called Odeding in Uganda. And that's in the northern part of Uganda, near the Sudanese border, where the Lord's Resistance Army used to occupy, which is when they recruited children as young as 8 and 10 to commit horrific atrocities. And that area had been used as a camp for the Lord's Resistance Army, and had now been transferred into a school. And we were talking to the headmaster to see what support they needed and wanted. There was 100 pupils in a classroom, and in the very young years, there were 200 children in a classroom. And as we sat under the trees to talk to the headmaster and the Parent Teachers Association and the teachers, I heard this enormous noise, and I just turned around to the headmaster and I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "Oh, that's the children queuing to get water." So I thought, okay, I need to look at this. And I went round the school building and saw a queue of over 550 children waiting in line, with somebody at the top having a mug being dunked into a sort of vessel of water, and the first child would drink from the cup and then pass it on to the next child. And they went down 550 children. And that was the only water they got all day. But he said to me that 726 children were enrolled in the school. So I said to him, well, what happened to the other 176 or so, kids? And he said, well, their parents can't afford the water, so they can't come to school. And I suppose at the end of the day, that's why we do what we do, because by putting in a water system, there was 5 latrines for 700 kids. So by doing all of that, you just transform the environment in which they're being educated, and it gives hope and it gives better futures. So that's why we do what we do. World Travel Markets played a huge role in my journey. I loved the job I did at World Travel Market, and I put my heart and soul into it, and as did all the teams that I worked with. And I think what I learned when I started with World Travel Market and then became exhibition director was that as a global brand pulling the whole industry together, we had an influence, and we had an opportunity to influence the industry from a position of credibility. And so I think that's what I always wanted World Travel Market to be, was an event that wasn't just about an event that gave business opportunities to business. It actually had the potential to do so much more, which is why addressing the environmental issues much earlier people are talking about sustainability now, but in 1996 when we started they weren't interested. But we managed to keep that initiative going, and it's now become World Responsible Tourism Day. And even when I left, World Travel Markets continued to see its purposefulness in that. And it was really important when it came to the creation of Just a Drop. I didn't set out to run a charity by any stretch of the imagination. I felt at the time Reed had a reputation for running brilliant events, but they were costly and expensive. And they looked to deliver good value. But I think Environmental Awareness Day, World Responsible Tourism Day, Just a Drop gave a softer edge to the commercial realities of World Travel Market, and it encouraged the industry to look to itself a bit. But without World Travel Market, it would have been near on impossible to set up an organisation like Just a Drop. And World Travel Market has played a huge role in supporting it, over the last 25 years, and we're hugely appreciative. And one of the former Reed Exhibition senior directors continues to be a trustee of Just a Drop to this day. So I hope it continues to be a lasting legacy that Reed Exhibitions and the team at World Travel Market continue to value, because we want to add value to the business as well, as we've always tried to do. I believe World Travel Market London plays a really significant role in the travel industry. It's one of the few events that brings the entire industry together under one roof. And it's always looked to tackle industry issues as well as offer business opportunities. And its voice and its collaboration with other global organisations is really important. And obviously all travel and tourism businesses and World Travel Market have been impacted by the pandemic. But it's really important that we continue to build, and it's really important that we create opportunities for open, honest dialogue and continue to tackle the issues that the industry faces, which are significant. They are seriously significant. The impact of climate change, the impact that has on travel and tourism fundamentally is huge. And so it's important that World Travel Market plays its role in helping the industry develop the solutions and provide a forum with which to do that. How has Responsible Tourism Day had an impact on the industry? I'd like to think it has, because it's brought the agenda into the forum of World Travel Market, and at a certain point it was actually the largest gathering of responsible tourism practitioners in the world. And I think when people can share knowledge, experiences, so that people aren't reinventing the wheel and can benefit from one another's knowledge, because we do have to change how we do things as an industry. And if that helps catalyse change, then World Responsible Tourism Day is a really important forum. And what I'm really happy about is the fact that even though I left World Travel Market 10 years ago, World Travel Market continues to push forward the agenda, because it's one of the few forums that can bring that global industry together to discuss and explore new ideas and develop other innovations. If I think about the journey travel and tourism industry has gone on and its power of impact and influence, I'd say that the travel and tourism industry often describes itself as a force for good. And in the fact that it generates jobs and income for destinations, it absolutely does that, and has done that very successfully over the last 30 years. But I also feel that actually the industry needs to not just dine out on that, and it has to recognise that it can have and does have a negative impact. And I know the industry's gone through a tough time with the pandemic and everything else, and it's looking to rebuild. But I think it now has to widen its reach in terms of it's not just about the economic benefits that it brings to the planet and the world generally. As if there was ever an industry that has responsibility for protecting destinations and local communities, it's absolutely the travel and tourism industry. So I don't think it's enough to dine out as a force for good off the back of 1 in 10 jobs across the planet and the revenue that it generates. We have to recognise that we also do harm, and we have to start to mitigate that. And that boils down to how people run their businesses and their operations and changing practice. And it also involves looking at corporate social responsibility and mitigating climate change. So fortunately, Just a Drop impacts 11 out of 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals. So if there are any travel and tourism businesses that want to end up increasing their impact, then we're the ideal partner for them. The way modern businesses can drive positive change is really, really important. And the power is in their hands, because I'm a big believer that businesses do drive change. But they need to recognise that it covers not just the economics, but the social and environmental as well. But because they are economic drivers, there is a massive power in those organisations to be able to invest and innovate and develop that change. So my belief is that, yes, you have to be running a successful business before you necessarily engage in that investment and change. But once you are in that situation, then every business should identify a cause that matters to them, that has synergy and meaning in their business, that is maybe supported by the staff, but they bring that into the DNA of their organisation and take a lot of satisfaction and pleasure from broadening their scope and recognising how they add value to society as a result. And I think it's hugely important what they can achieve. And I don't think businesses realise well enough what they can achieve. I talk about the transformational triangle, and that is government, business, and the third sector working much more effectively together. You need governments to create the right frameworks, politically and economically, to drive change and efficiency. Businesses are the engine room, and the third sector end up creating sustainable delivery. And if you can have all three collaborating effectively together, then so much more could be achieved. I think World Travel Market supports positive change because it reflects a global industry. It is close to its industry, and it's close to the issues that it faces, and it's the perfect platform to bring the industry together to discuss those. I think it's a very powerful tool. It was one that I recognised when I was running World Travel Market and made the developments that I did then along with the team. And I don't think that's changed. So the circumstances, the issues, the challenges will have changed, but the role of World Travel Market in helping drive change, I think that's part of the responsibility of the business. And it's what keeps World Travel Market close to its industry, and I think that's really important. There's a number of people in the industry that have inspired me. The former Secretary General of the UNWTO, Taleb Rifai, was a very big international figure and had fantastic ethics and morals and had a great vision for the industry. Darrell Wade from Intrepid Travel, I'm really impressed with how he and his business and a global business model has embraced the environment and social responsibility within his business and is achieving that and is doing fantastic things. And another inspirational guy in business is called Paras Lomba, and he's based in India from Global Himalayan Expeditions. And he puts solar panels into remote villages in the Himalayas, and he literally lights up their darkness. It's probably the most transformational change I've seen, other than the impact of water on communities, because they end up being healthier because they're not taking in paraffin any longer. They have longer days where they can be more productive. The children get more out of school. It really is extraordinary what he's achieved. And he's a social enterprise in the travel and tourism sector. And I think that demonstrates what can be achieved by travel and tourism businesses. Either you do it yourself through your business, or you do it in partnership with organisations like Just a Drop and others, because then everybody's collaborating, working together, and adding value to the world, the planet, and broader society. What would I say to someone that had a great idea but was hesitant to go ahead with it? I think there's the capability in everyone to do something change-making. It's a question of it being important to them, for it to be purposeful and to be motivated to drive it forward. And it doesn't mean it's easy, but at the end of the day, there are always people out there that can help you as well. So I would say, don't hesitate to ask for help. I should have probably asked for help more. surround yourself with people that you believe can help you on that journey. And don't be afraid of failure, because we all learn from failure. But far, far better to make change and make things better than to never have bothered at all. So I would say absolutely go for it and believe in yourself, because if you don't, who else is going to do it? So absolutely do it for yourself. How would I define success for Just a Drop in the next 5 years? Becoming a long-term sustainable organisation that doesn't need me anymore, that will continue to grow and thrive and do the work that it does, and as it grows and thrives, to impact more people around the world. So that's what I've got to achieve.